parts of the lower 48 states. Hashtag Who's Got Next. Register today and ride the four corners of your state.
Make sure y'all check out the Retro Philosophy Show on YouTube with my man Retro. Like, subscribe, comment, share, copy the link, put it on Instagram in your bio, put it on your Facebook page. Send it to your mama, text it to somebody. But y'all make sure y'all follow this page, Retro Philosophy.
Retro, hashtag press play. It's the Retro Philosophy Show. Let's go!
Kingdom alignment on assignment for the king. Hope you're ready for the show.
Oh, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
Let's go for a ride.
Let's go for a ride.
Got my specs on my side. She's my forever bride that keeps hope alive.
I'ma rev it up, so hold on tight.
We about to level up, catch us on the turnpike. From city to city, state to state, coast to coast, man, make no mistake.
We are conquerors,
more than conquerors,
collecting miles and smiles.
Been doing this thing for a while, and all the while winning souls to God. We singing praises to our King. On the hog or on the wing, His praise we always sing, because this is the day that He has made.
Kingdom alignment on assignment for the king. Hope you're ready for the show.
Oh, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
Let's go for a ride.
Let's go for a ride.
Got my specs on my side. She's my forever bride that keeps hope alive.
I'ma rev it up, so hold on tight.
We about to level up, catch us on the turnpike. From city to city, state to state, coast to coast, man, make no mistake.
We are conquerors,
more than conquerors,
collecting miles and smiles.
Been doing this thing for a while, and all the while winning souls to God. We singing praises to our King. On the hog or on the wing, His praise we always sing, because this is the day that He has made.
Everybody, include are doing on today. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Yo, I want to press play. Those of you who are tuning in, it's me or them. And it's just that simple. Me or them. And I think that's a mindset that we all should take at some point or another. Now, we're going to dive in this for a quick minute. This is something I should have just held for the studio so I could have sat down and really, chit-chatted with you guys on today. But seriously speaking, it's me or them. And before I go into that, I want to ask you a question, and I want you to ponder on this question before you give the answer. Who motivates you? Who inspires you? Who is it that has caused you to do what you do the way you do what you do? Okay. Someone said something to me, and they meant very well with what they said. I understand where they were coming from. It's not so much their heart or their intent, but it is the reality of the situation that I want to talk about. They said, we need you to be the new so-and-so. And they were saying it in a complimentary way, if you will. They were saying it in an encouraging way. And I understand where they were coming from. But let's talk about this for a quick minute, because sometimes we are inspired, we are motivated, we are, what's some other words that we can throw in there, ladies and gentlemen? We are compelled, encouraged to do something that someone else did. And sometimes what we're attempting to do is carry on the legacy. Sometimes we're attempting to sustain the work. We are trying to ensure that what they did continues to be done. The problem is sometimes we try to be who they were. Let me see if I can say that one more time. Sometimes we try to be who they were, and you can never be who they were. You can pay homage to what they've done and who they were and this, that, and the other, and you can carry on in their stead. But let's go to the scripture for a moment, right? There was a man in the Bible by the name of Moses. Moses had a servant by the name of Joshua. Okay. Joshua was a very servant. He was a very dedicated servant. He was there, boots on the ground, skin in the game. And there came a point where Moses dies. And God speaks to Joshua and says, Joshua, I want you to be courageous. I want you very courageous. Okay. And Joshua is now given the task to lead God's people into the promised land, right? And Moses is gone, but Joshua is still mourning the loss of Moses. Uh, Not only is he mourning the loss of Moses, he's allowing the task at hand to intimidate him. And God says, look, I want you to be nothing but courageous, strong, and of a good courage. Okay. And so he tells, look, the same way I was with Moses, I'm going to be with you. And so you've got to read between the lines because Moses is gone. And he says, look, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, you take the reins, you can do. And sometimes all we do is perpetuate what's and flaws. You, God has called you for a reason. And so Joshua, he leads God's people as God told him to do. All right. So don't be the new so-and-so, be the authentic you. Now, if you look at me and if you know me and if you follow my content, and if you really know me, you might be able to see where I was influenced by different people at some point in my life. You've got to really know me to know those. See, that's another thing. Um, Let me just keep moving. There have been some men of God who have inspired me, who have not motivated me, because I believe motivation comes from God. But there have been many of people who have inspired me, encouraged me, even enlightened me, and played in. But have I tried? Well, once. And once I learned that lesson, it never happened again. And what's that you ask? Never, ever, except that once, have I ever tried to be another man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Early part of my life when I first got saved, I almost borderline idolized my pastor. True story. I mean, he was such a strong, iconic figure of salvation to me as a young kid coming out of the streets and in the church, my first, real experiences, so on and so forth. And I thought the idea was to mimic him. I thought the idea, man, God showed me very vividly, very intensely, very purposefully that I have to be who he has called me to be. And now sometimes when you are so used to everybody else kissing your behind, you don't know how to deal with people that won't. And I'm not saying that this was the case with my pastor, but this is just, an insert that's applicable in this moment. Okay. So you got to realize that there are some people who are so used to being the man. When you deal with them like a man, they don't like it. In other words, you're not a God. Just because you're a man, don't mean you're I respect you. I'm going to honor you because you got to give honor is due, right? I'm a firm believer in that. But anyway, so, ladies and gentlemen, saints and saints, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, you've got to be you unapologetically, okay? And that's something now, be you can cause you some headaches, some issues, even some setbacks, and some losses. Not always rightfully so, but it is what it is. Again, we live in a time now where people want you to bow down. I don't bow down to nobody. Come on now, you know. So anyway, You have to be unapologetically you. Now, being unapologetically me, okay, does not mean that I try to negate the fact that there are areas in my life that need improvement. One of my favorite scriptures is, I think it's in the book of Hebrews, might be chapter 11. That could be wrong. It might be 6, but nevertheless, I do know it's in the book of Hebrews. But anyway, it says, leaving the principles of the doctrine, let us go on into perfection. And a lot of us, we have the principles, but we haven't perfected them. We know what we know, but perfect what you know, you'll never learn what you don't know. All right. Anyway, it's either me or them. And you got to make the choice. Are you going to be you or are you going to be them? Are you going to stand in the truth of who you are? Or are you going to stand behind the lie of you trying to be somebody that you're really not? You know more about them than you know about yourself. What? Are you crazy? Listen to me. Learn to like you. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, saints and names, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, does this make any sense to anybody on this morning? Um, it's either me or them. I'd rather be a flawed me than to be a perfect them. Because some of you have perfected the personas that you hide behind, but you're still scared of who you are. It's me or them. Now, let's get back on track here if I can. Um, yeah, that's a problem. Ran over some ice this morning, and my the muffler sounds definitely sounds strange. So I'm gonna have to look at that. I know that's a problem. Let me see if I can get back on track here, ladies and gentlemen. It's me or them, and there are many of people who um, have inspired you, and that's okay. You ought to have people that you look to for inspiration. You ought to have people that are doing bigger things than you are and doing it better than you are. So you can have a gauge of sorts. I know we're not comparing ourselves among ourselves, but sometimes you got to have those things in place. I was having a conversation with Mr. McConaughey on yesterday. If you didn't catch the interview, go back and check it out. He's a great dude doing big things, and it was a pleasure sitting down speaking with him. And we were talking about playing golf because he plays a little golf, and he was saying how it's a good sport and how he enjoys it. But he was also talking about the people that you meet on the golf course. And so the caliber of people, the people who are in position and who are in place, not just physically and financially, but even mentally and emotionally in place to put you on to bigger game, better game, different game, if you will. And so we ought to have these kind of people in our lives. And that's the problem. I'll never forget having a conversation with a gentleman years ago who was he was in them streets, y'all. And I mean the streets had him. He was out there doing big things. And every time I got a chance to minister to this brother, I would take advantage of it. You see, y'all thought I started pastoring when we started Upper Praise Ministries, but I've been pastoring ever since we started Miracles Hair Salon, you know. And my first pulpit was my barber chair. But anyway, I digress. So as I'm ministering to this young man who is just, he's embedded, engulfed in these streets, in the street life, in the hustle mentality and the money and the fast life. And every time I got a chance to minister to him, I would strategically encourage him to broaden his circle. Yeah, I would strategically encourage him to broaden his circle. uh, because you cannot have a circle full of the same people. You will always do the same things. Every now and then, you ought to invite someone into your circle if they're not in your circle, that knows what you guys don't know, that have experiences that you guys do not have. Okay. And I will tell you that I stayed in touch with this gentleman, and I will tell you that this gentleman is doing good. I will tell you that this same gentleman, he's doing things that we never thought he would do, and I mean that in every good sense of the word. And I will tell you that God is not through with this gentleman yet. One planteth, one watereth, but God gives the increase. And so sometimes when your circle is so small, and when I say so small, I'm not talking numerically, but I'm talking about the fact that everybody in your circle sell drugs. I'm not condemning the drug dealer. I was one of them once upon a time. Uh-huh. But I got to a place in my life where I intentionally and strategically expose myself to other people. Come on, somebody. And so your circle is small if everybody in it is doing the same thing. You can have 1,000 people in your circle and everybody's selling drugs. That's a small circle. I mean, you got to have some other people in your circle who, and if not in your circle, that intermingles with your circle, that does something different. Because most of the people, let me say it to you this way, a lot of people are looking for change, but everything in their circle looks the same. And so when you're looking for that change, but yet still you never see it modeled, you never see it exemplified, how much of a change are you going to make? Change starts with a vision. Yeah, change starts with a vision. You see it, you visualize it, and then you begin to want it. You begin to seek it. You begin to understand it, and then you begin to do it. A lot of these kids, they grew up in, how do I want to say it? They grew up in not so good environments, and all they saw was, Leroy coming by with the dice hanging from the mirror, with the gangster lean, and they saw that every day, and they saw that as a strong man because Leroy was the neighborhood pusher. You know what I'm saying? And he looked good, he drove good, and he got respect, and that's what they saw day in and day out. So they didn't respect the hardworking man at the end of the corner, at the end of the apartment building, who went to work and worked 10 hours a day. Uh, he never wore the flashy clothes. He never had the best, you know. But that's not what they respected. They respected the Leroy of the neighborhood, and so they began to want it. And what did they do? They began to mimic Mr. Leroy. Yeah, and true story, no cap, real talk. And I'm not really proud of this, but it's real. There was years ago, if you know me, you know me. I lived a life at once upon a time, um, and so there was these two individuals. There was some young. They were younger than us, but they were always there. They were always around, and they would watch what me and my homies were doing. And we would see them, but we didn't know they were watching the way that they were watching. Anyway, years transpire, they grow up, we grow up, we get, and I never forget, I was riding with this dude, and he begins to tell me, we're reminiscing, we're talking, and he was saying, yeah, I remember when y'all used to do this and used to do that. And we was there, we would see you guys, and we wanted to be like y'all, and we started doing this and we started doing that. And so they were trying to mimic us, and they were doing things that they didn't really have a full knowledge of. And I never forget, I'm sitting there, I'm listening to this kid, and I'm like, yo, bro, that ain't what we was doing. That ain't what we meant. That wasn't what we was, that's not what it was about. But see, they were trying to be something that they didn't have full knowledge about, and they were filling in the blanks as they saw fit, and so they had a misconceived notion as to what needed to be done. And so they ended up becoming somebody who they were not. but they were enamored. They became enamored in this lifestyle. They were living up to an image that was wrong to begin with. You see, I felt guilty. I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt real bad. I did. And but we really do have to be careful, because when the Bible says don't let your good be evil spoken of, I think it's applicable here, because you can do something, but somebody can read it completely different. I often say one's perception is one's reality. What they perceived became their reality, and they acted on that reality. And so, how many of us are trying to do something and be somebody based off misconceived notions? You saw what you saw, but what you saw wasn't what it was. Me or them. I can't be them. I got to be me. You can't be them. You got to be you. If someone inspires you, the safest thing for you to do is to give credit to whom credit is due. You got to remind yourself and let them know. Thank you. I promise you, it is the safest thing to do, because now you're having conversation and not just communication. That's a little too deep for y'all. We'll talk about that later. This is the safest thing for you to do. When someone inspires me, I let them know. I let them know that they inspired me, and it keeps me in check. It keeps me in place. Because if you don't do that, I was gonna say you'll take credit for what you shouldn't take credit for, and there's some truth to that too. Um, but I think it holds us to a stronger sense of accountability uh, to ourselves. Because the worst thing is for us to tell a lie and believe the lie that we told. And that's what many people are doing as it relates to the lifestyles that they are living. You're telling a lie and believing the lie that you're telling. They had a saying back in the day. I don't know if they say it anymore, but they used to say, real recognize real, you know, um, and you can't outgame a player. But anyway, um, so I always give credit to whom credit is due, um, because I don't ever want to try to take the glory from another. Um, so anyway, it's me or them. And again, I'm done. I've learned a long time ago to always choose me. I'm going to choose me. I'm going to tell you right now, if it comes down to you or me, I'm going to choose me. I'm going to choose me. You can take that and twist that and any way you want to. I ain't got no business with what you do with that. That's another thing. People that take stuff and twist it, take it out of context, and say, "Oh, he meant that ain't what." Look, I said what I said. And if you need greater understanding, always reach out to the horse and don't take it from some other source. All right. I'm going to choose me. I'm going to choose me. Ladies and gentlemen, saints and eights, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, it's your boy Retro. Whew, y'all be safe out here in these social media streets now. Don't